So let's talk about building a playbook for your career in the age of AI. We're digging into some fantastic insights from Psychology Today because the real question on everyone's mind is this: how do you not just get by, but actually come out on top when the whole professional world is changing under our feet? And it really all starts with a question just like this one. I bet a lot of you have had this exact thought. It perfectly captures that feeling, right? That mix of excitement and, yeah, maybe a little bit of anxiety about what an AI-powered future really means for our careers. Well, to get to the answer, we're not going to start with some futuristic tech or complicated lines of code. Nope. Instead, the answer actually starts with a problem, a deeply human one that we've been wrestling with for decades. And understanding how we can finally solve it shows us exactly where the real opportunities are hiding. And that problem is dyslexia. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. Dyslexia? What in the world does a learning disability have to do with my career in the world of AI? Well, as you're about to see, it has everything to do with it. It's the perfect way to understand where our human limits end and where AI's real advantages begin. So here's the thing about dyslexia. It has nothing to do with how smart someone is, not at all. It's a really complex brain-based challenge in how language gets processed. And it's that incredible speed of the processing that makes it such a tough nut for our traditional teaching methods to crack. And this number, 50%, this really shows you the scale of the challenge. I mean, think about that. Barely half of all kids with dyslexia ever get the proper diagnosis and help they actually need. That's a huge, constant point of friction in our education system. It's a massive problem that's just been sitting there, waiting for a totally new kind of solution. And that, right there, is where AI steps into the picture. Not as just another tool, but as something that can do what we can't. It can actually surpass our own human abilities in some very specific and very powerful ways. Let's take a look at what that really means. I mean, this comparison says it all, doesn't it? A human teacher, even the most dedicated, amazing teacher in the world, simply cannot analyze billions of data points in real time. They can't process information at the sub-second speed of the brain. And they for sure can't do it for every single student, all at the same time. This isn't about replacing teachers. It's about giving them a superpowered tool that can do what is physically impossible for a person to do. So how does somebody even come up with this? How do you connect the dots between AI and dyslexia? Well, it wasn't just a lucky guess. It started with a very strategic way of looking at the world around you, a technique that big companies use all the time, and one that you can absolutely use for your own career. It's called an environmental scan, and you can just think of it like putting on a pair of strategic binoculars. You're not just looking at your feet, at what's right in front of you. You're actively scanning the entire horizon of your industry, looking for shifts, for risks, and most importantly, for those hidden opportunities. And how it works is actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. First, you just monitor. You watch for those friction points, those things that are clunky or just aren't working right. Then, you analyze. You figure out why they're not working and what kind of impact that's having. And finally, you act. You build a real strategy to turn that point of friction into a genuine opportunity. And when you apply the scan to the dyslexia problem, what you find is just massive, unsolved potential. Decades of trying the same things just weren't moving the needle. It was creating huge friction for everybody involved. Now, this wasn't a dead end. This was a giant, flashing neon sign that said opportunity here. So let's bring this home. I want you to really think for a second about your own field, or maybe the career you're aiming for. What are those things that everyone complains about? You know, the bottlenecks, the inefficiencies, the problems that have been around forever that nobody's managed to solve? Right there, those are your opportunities. Okay, so we've seen the strategy in action. Now let's break this down into your own personal playbook. This isn't about learning to code or mastering some new software. No, it all boils down to 3 crucial ways of thinking that you need to develop to really succeed in this new era. First up, creative thinking. And this isn't just about art, right? This is about being able to look at a messy situation, like the dyslexia problem, and not just see chaos, but see a pattern, an opportunity that everyone else is missing. It's about asking better questions when all the old answers have stopped working. All right, number 2 is strategic thinking. If creative thinking finds the opportunity, strategic thinking is what builds the bridge to get there. It's the engine that drives that environmental scan we talked about. It's all about connecting the dots, from the problem you found to a real achievable plan. And last, but honestly, this might be the most important one. ethical thinking. As we come up with these incredibly powerful new tools and solutions, we have to keep asking ourselves the tough questions. Who is this really helping? Is anyone being left behind or even harmed? Is this a net positive for people? That's what really matters. So let's tie this all together. What's the big takeaway here? It's so easy to look at AI and see disruption, maybe even a threat to our jobs. But the real story, the one we've just walked through, is about something else entirely. You know, this quote from the article just nails it. It's absolutely true. These are turbulent times, no doubt about it. But that very turbulence is what creates new openings. It creates chances to solve problems that we thought were impossible to solve before. The whole trick is learning to see the opportunity inside the chaos. And you can see how this plays out, right? It creates this incredible ripple effect. The AI solution for dyslexia wasn't just a win for the students. It created a wave of new opportunities for teachers, for schools, for entire systems. When you solve one huge point of friction, you can end up lifting everybody up. So, this is where we'll leave it. The ground is shifting under our feet in basically every single industry right now. So the question isn't if things will change anymore. The question is, how are you going to respond? Are you just going to wait for someone to hand you a map? Or are you going to be the one scanning the horizon, looking for those big, important problems that you are perfectly positioned to solve? The opportunities are out there. Now go find them.